In the previous nugget, we got ourselves acquainted with the stars of the show in the local area network side of the modern Cisco data center. Well, to be fair, it's time for us to move over to the SAN side of the house, the storage area network, and meet the multi-layer director switches, or MDS devices, that make up the storage area network. Now, this nugget will not be as long as that Nexus nugget because, quite frankly, we don't have as much to see here. But we are going to take a look at the 9500 series MDS devices, the 9124, the 9148, and the 9222i device from Cisco Systems. Obviously, we're also going to talk about important topics like the high availability features of these particular devices, as well as licensing concerns. Now, the modular depicted up at the top right, by the way, 9500 series are the 9506, the 9509, and the 9513. Understand that port densities with these devices will run from 192 fiber channel ports on the 9506, the 9509 336, Now, another feature on the resume or the brochure for the MDS series would be high bandwidth. This is kind of funny because we know the Nexus series devices are certainly catching up in this area, but we do have things like 2.2 terabits per second of internal bandwidth. And we can go with 160 gigabits per second from switch to switch. This is thanks to 16 inter switch links that can be bundled together in a port channel between our fiber channel devices. This used to be obviously blazing speeds that we didn't see in the local area network side of the house. To the virtual local area network. We have a secure environment here. In fact, we even have a port security feature that we can enact in the storage area network. And finally, we have an unbelievable amount of high availability. We're talking dual supervisor engines, dual clocks, dual fans, dual power supplies, dual internal paths, dual redundant fabric modules. So dual all over the place when it comes to the internal infrastructure of these MDS devices. Now, what about supervisor engines for these modular storage area network directors? Well, just like on the Nexus side of the house, a second generation of SOUP engine has indeed replaced a first. There's a SOUP 2 and a SOUP 2A. Now, I bet you're wondering what in the world would be the difference between the Soup 2 and the Soup 2A? The big thing? Fiber channel over Ethernet support. Yep, so that is a key ingredient now with the Soup 2A engine. Now, there's something else that's interesting about these second generation supervisor engines. You see, they will provide what's called the inter-crossbar fabric. They'll basically act as the traffic cop for the entire device, but only in what are now the more legacy chassis, and that's the 9506 and the 9509. So in the 9506 and the 9509, the supervisor engine is the traffic cop. It handles the inter-crossbar fabric, traffic direction functionality. But interestingly enough, in the 9513, the soup engines do not possess that functionality. They're going to step out of the way in the 9513, and they're going to let the intercrossbar fabric module handle that work and offload that from the supervisor engine. Now, in the area of licensing, please understand that in the SAN side of the house with these MDS devices, we have both feature-based license, and this is what we're used to on the Nexus side of the house, the LAN side. But then over on the SAN, we also have module-based licenses. So we can get licenses for specific modules that we insert into the MDS devices to enable the capabilities of those oftentimes unique modules. What are some examples of the feature-based licenses? Well, there's an enterprise license, and as you might guess, this gives you like security services and additional services that we might find in the enterprise, like enhanced monitoring capabilities. There's licenses like SAN over IP. And sure enough, this is the license that we would get if we're interested in utilizing the fiber channel over IP protocol. There's a mainframe license, and the mainframe license would give us the ability to run the FICON protocol. So all kinds of additional feature-based licenses that we can add depending on the particular environment we find ourselves in. I gave just 3 examples there. Obviously, there are many, many different examples of different features you can add to the storage area network. For a complete list, just visit the home page of the MDS devices up at cisco.com. Now, as promised, another device that we can find in our storage area network is the Cisco MDS 9124 device. Notice this particular device has 24 line rate 4 gigabit per second fiber channel ports. Notice that 8 are licensed in the default configuration, and then there is 16 on-demand ports that we can have for incremental licensing. This device is capable of N-port virtualization. This is a technology that will allow us to really scale our storage area network and not consume these precious domain IDs for each switch that we implement into the infrastructure. If all of this technology is foreign to you, if you're new to storage area networking, again, I must remind you, have no fear. We will go through storage area networking in depth later on in this particular course. And here we can see the MDS 9148. Sure enough, this features 48 line rate, 8 gigabit per second fiber channel ports. We can go ahead and license this in a 16, in a 32, or in a full 48 port based configuration type. And there are 8 ports available for incremental licensing. Once again, here we have a NPV support capability, so this device can assist in the scaling out of the storage area network. Now, if the 9124 and the 9148 are guilty of anything, it's that they're not the most flexible of devices. The 9222i is indeed that device. This device features an expansion slot for a wide variety of modules that can be inserted for different types of connectivity. There are 18 fiber channel ports here, once again at 4 gigabits per second, and there's also 4 gigabit Ethernet ports on this device. These would be utilized in a fiber channel over IP or iSCSI type environment. So a much more flexible MDS switch here with the 9222i. Now, let me tell you straight up here that the exam is not going to emphasize the MDS hardware in the way it does the Nexus. Sorry for that bias, but it's just a fact of life. Let's take a quick exam time review though. Which supervisor module for the MDS supports fiber channel over Ethernet? Do you remember? Was it the SOUP 1, the SOUP 2, the SOUP 2A, or the SOUP 3? Well, that was that SOUP 2A that we discussed in this particular nugget. So in this nugget, we took a look at the MDS family of equipment that we are responsible for as Cisco CCNA data center candidates. We took a look at the 9500 series, the 9124, the 9148, and the 9222i MDS class of devices. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.